What a strange world we've been living in these past few years. The Golf hasn't been the default choice to go for in the hatchback segment, but this is the updated one, and it attempts to address some of the issues we had with the previous, and we're going to run you through the key changes to see if it's the go-to option for 2024 once again. Now, the changes on the exterior, you'd be forgiven for not noticing them because they're subtle, but actually the biggest and most important upgrades are inside the car. Although I do want to show you the tweaks they've made on the body because I think they're really good. Now, the first one is this illuminated Volkswagen badge. I used to hate this kind of stuff, but it's a really good example of how you can use sharp lighting technology to actually add to the design a little bit. And the same goes for the LED lights in the headlights. Now, they're really sharp. They've got this kind of stacked, layered look, so they look very, very up to date, and they add to the car's front appearance. And same goes on this R-Line model. This bumper, I know it's got some blanked off spots in there, so it's pretty fake, but it looks good. It's really muscular. And then I actually, despite them only being slightly tweaked, very much like the wheels as well. These are the 18-inch wheels wrapped in Bridgestone tyres of the R-Line model, and they look pretty good. Nice. I like the black and the silver effect there with the diamond cut. Then if you follow me to the rear, we have our other and arguably biggest upgrade in terms of lighting, and that is the tail lights, because that pattern, that stacked pattern from the front is carried into the rear, but here, especially with the red against the black, it really adds to the aggression. And same goes for the bumper. We've got another bumper tweak here, more fakery, more blanked off grille bits here, but it adds to the muscle of the R-Line. And then, well, everyone's doing this, but we've got a black Golf badge here as well instead of a silver one. So the tweaks to the exterior are subtle, but very important, although they're not as important as the ones inside. Now, yes, I accept that the interior looks just like the exterior, very similar to the previous car, but the changes are technological and therefore they are vital because that's exactly where the problems with the old car were. So, firstly, this infotainment system now gets a much smoother running software and it's actually quite nice to use. It's smartphone-like in its operation. Plus, now you get ChatGPT, which is, as some of you will know, artificial intelligence technology. So it means we're connected to the internet, and I can therefore control the car in a much more human way, in a much more natural language manner. So, for example, I'm feeling really hot.
Sure, it will get cooler shortly.
So that's good. So I could just ask the car in a conversational manner to turn the aircon down without actually saying, knock the aircon down. Although I have to admit, ChatGPT has its limitations in some areas, for example, political chat. So, who is the current Prime Minister?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Fiddly. Who is the current UK Prime Minister?
According to ChatGPT, as of the 1st of September 2021, the current UK Prime Minister is Boris Johnson.
That's really out of date. Said Rishi Sunak earlier. Wow. So it's got its limitations when it comes to political chat, but car stuff, it's all good. And I should say this instrument cluster, while it doesn't look any different to the previous one, it's sharp, it's clear, great for information on the move. It's very Golf-like. And you know what? Arguably the best thing that they've done in this interior is to go back in time because we've lost the capacitive and very annoying buttons of the 8, the Mark 8 that came before this 8.5. And that meant when you went round corners, you were accidentally changing settings and pressing buttons. Now, we've gone back to stuff we haven't seen since the Mark 7 generation, which is proper buttons. It just works. It's just much easier to use. I wish we'd gone further back in time, though, when it came to the climate control buttons, because right now we've got these slidey ones, the same as you had on the Mark 8, but at least now they're illuminated in the dark, so you can complain about them while you're using them, even when there's no sunshine. Elsewhere, though, it's very much a Golf affair. The materials, we're told, have been lifted, and you can feel some of the bits feel nicer, but the build quality is still good rather than great, but actually usability is excellent. So we've got lots of storage room all around the front of the cabin. We've got a decent sized glove box, very generous door pockets here. They're really, really spacious. We've got room down here for your phone, couple of USB-C ports, and then you've got this space down here, which can turn into a cup holder as well. And then you've even got room in here, not massive, but usable enough. It's just a nice, comfortable place to be. And these seats in the R-Line are really fab. And in fact, with the seat set as low as it goes here, well, I've got loads of headroom to the sunroof above me. It is a nice place to sit, as Golfs almost always have been. Now, in the back, it's actually a very good thing that nothing has changed because there's always been a lot of room in the back of a Golf. And it's true that I have good foot room and good knee room and good headroom here, despite the fact that this seat is pushed us back as far as I'd like it, and the fact that I'm not the shortest person in the world. And you know what? The middle seat is generous as well, as it's always been. But if you haven't got anyone there, you've still got a nice armrest with a couple of cup holders as well. And the great thing about the Golf as well is despite being a hatchback, well, it's also got a ski hatch here. So if you are the sort to have long things in your car like skis, You can do that through there, and you can also tow in this as well, up to 1.5 tons. So it makes for a versatile vehicle. Also, comfort-wise, you've got a pair of vents down here, and you also have your own temperature as well, and you even get a couple of USB-C ports too. Oh yeah, and I should say that there are very good amounts of storage space in the backs of these. These are quite nifty little pockets here. And your door pockets, while they're smaller than the massive front ones, they're still easily big enough for your keep cups or your water bottles. And if you're carrying kids who are very small in the back, well, the Isofix bar is very easy to reach indeed. Now, Golfs have always been strong when it comes to boot space, and when it comes to this Mk8.5, well, that's exactly the same again, because it's a nice, wide and deep boot, and we reckon, especially if you're a Tetris champ, you'll be able to get one of these maximum size aeroplane cabin bags into here alongside 5 others. We think we can get 6 in there somehow, but of course, if you need more room, well, there is still a movable floor, and in fact, you can take the whole floor out if you want to, and make the boot a lot deeper. It goes right down onto the very lowest part of the car. So it's versatile and usable as is, but of course, if you need more room, you can lower down the rear bench in the 2 halves there. And of course, I mentioned earlier about a towing capacity. Well, look how easy it is to get the tow bar out. Now, all that's left to do is drive this golf ball off the green. So being behind the wheel of this new Golf feels exactly like being behind the wheel of the last Golf, but that is a very good thing because these cars are so easy, so familiar, and just so good at being your everyday vehicle. I'm getting good sensations through the ride. It's nice and comfortable even on these 18-inch wheels, and the torque of this engine as well. We've got the 1.5, and actually it is a nice punchy motor. I would even say this is the sweet spot for the sensible Golf range because it is fuel efficient. You'll get over 50 miles per gallon if you're sensible, but you've also got, especially with this car's 6-speed manual gearbox, quite an engaging system here. I mean, it's quite punchy from low down, it picks up nice and smoothly, and the gearbox itself, just a mild evolution of what we've had before, is nice to use. Although, if you're a company car buyer, well, there arguably is a better model in the range even more because there is the proper plug-in hybrid car, and that not only gets you electric range, you get as much as 88 miles of purely electric range according to Volkswagen, and that's really good actually. Most people will manage their commute without waking the engine, but you also get even more electric so it's going to be even quicker to accelerate.
And interestingly, despite diesel sales not being what they once were in Britain, Volkswagen does still offer a diesel Golf with a 2-litre TDI engine. And of course, you can still get an estate version as well, ensuring that this Mk8.5 Golf can claim to be as versatile as ever.
Now, it is true that every single current generation Golf will get all the annoying bongs and bings that you get on modern cars. It has to by law, but you can, thankfully, turn them off pretty quickly. There is an assist button down in the center console. You can click it and then just toggle off all of the settings so it won't beep at you and bong at you when you don't want it to. So that's very, very good because some cars, it's a lot harder to turn them off. But if you are the sort who actually enjoys having driver assistance features helping you out, well, this does also come with plenty of handy features. So you have your steering assist, you've got an intelligent adaptive cruise control, and it's nice to know that the car's always keeping an eye on your surroundings, so autonomous emergency braking and all of those kind of useful safety features are there. But what matters most is the fact that you don't really have to think about any of that. All you have to do when you're behind the wheel of this current gen Golf is just drive it like you would all of the previous ones. It is just a nice and very easy thing to do. Light touch controls, nice and easy gearbox, and we know from the previous car that the auto is also very good. And even the clutch pedal and the brakes are just so light touch. Honestly, this is the simplest way to do hatchbacking. Although I have to admit, this current 8.5 generation Golf does feel a bit on the pricey side, not least because the one we're driving right now is 38 grand with all the options on it. Although, that is largely down to inflation, but you can beat inflation if you download the Cinch app or go onto cinch.co.uk, of course. Nevertheless, even as the car sits here with its pretty hefty sticker price, I have to admit, you do still feel like you're getting a lot for your money. And of course, the Golf, as always, has been a classless car. So this is a car anyone from any background can feel like they're doing well in. And that's true even if you're cruising down the B roads like we are here, whether you're on the motorway, or even if you're in the centre of town stuck in traffic. Although I must admit, my favourite bit is the fact that it actually is quite fun to drive. And of course, this being an R-Line model that we're driving right now, I might as well test if the R has any influence on the way the car feels on the road. Of course, mostly it's a cosmetic thing, but with 150 horsepower and a sub 9 second 62 mile an hour time, I should say, this actually is quite an enjoyable car to drive. It actually feels like a warm hatch, but it rides really well. So it means I can actually just keep up the pace, charge down a road and enjoy the 6-speed gearbox. Do you know what? Fiddly heated controls aside, the Golf remains an excellent car to drive. Even heel and towed. So, if you go for an R-Line model with 150 horsepower like this one, it is great to know that it is actually very fun to drive. But what's most important is that the Mark 8 range in general, with its new, much improved, albeit not perfect, heater controls and its much faster and slicker infotainment system, is a really, really good car now. It feels like the Mark 8 we were always asking for. It's an 8.5, but it's just a Mark 8 with a bit more polish. Although, if infotainment systems are as important to you as they are to us, well, check out the awesome one in this new Mini.